So what I want to show here was a spruce that I have among some birches. And the reason I want to show this one is actually how clearly it defines its growth pattern. So you may not notice that well on this camera, but you see these pines are a bit darker. This was the end of last year. All these bright ones, they are starting to darken. I'm a little bit late out. I should have come here a few days ago before they started darkening. But as they are growing, they are brighter. These are incidentally more tender, and you can actually, with a little bit of processing, eat them. The same goes for this part here. This stem was the end of last year, and this is what they brought out. And if I show you from this direction, you can see the south is, the sun rises up over there, and the strongest part of the sun, it comes from here, and this you see on the branches. Not just because I had somewhat submerged them, the branches were actually more in that direction. But like what you're seeing here is really a tree that in 2 months have a small tree, of course, but in 2 months it has grown so fast that you don't see the old growth anymore. The whole part of it is just bright. So here it stopped last year. You see, there's actually some fresh ones from the center here coming, so because it has a lot of nutrients. I fertilized these the first year. The same goes for this one. It's a little bit harder to see, probably not picked up by the camera, but it stopped. I think it stopped around here actually, or maybe here last year, and this is what has sprouted out. So which is nice to see. And to give you an example, I think I have some smaller trees over here that, so maybe the lighting is not so good, but this is a tiny one, and it stopped here last year. So it was barely visible early this summer when I framed it in to kind of protect it, and I set up this bed here. Here I have some peas, there's some potatoes coming up. They're all very late, but it's fine because they're not meant to be eating potatoes. They are, oh, and here's another pea. This one, these peas, I use them mostly for making, I'll eat them as they are green, but it's to provide the nitrogen to the soil. I hope it's a little bit more clear. You see, it's brighter, and then it's darker where it was. A better example, even though it's still not a good light, there you see another one. These are going really fast. Here, this is where it stopped. This is what grew out here, and in this direction. These have grown so fast I've actually lost control, and it's a little bit harder to see, but I think this one started around, I think it must have started around here. It's hard to say. This one too, you see it has a dark, it stopped there, and then it branched out again this year. And well, did I have a point? No, it was just to really show, that see here too, this one actually didn't bother going upwards. You see, it stopped here last year, and then it just went on the side. Probably because this one wasn't shielding it earlier this year, because like I said, it was lower. I think these ones too have actually, without me being absolutely sure. They don't give such clear signs. But you may see here again, darker where it was. The green spot indicates how quickly it's been growing, and thus from that you can tell, how well has your plant been doing this year. Now I try to get these because they are very good for preventing wind. You see here, the crown is like the last one, but here it shoot out, and this probably has a lot to do with the trees here, to a large extent screening much of the sunlight coming in. So yeah, all the others here, they're great for a variety of reasons, but the spruce in particular, I do want to see grow well. It's interesting to see this one dying off. I think this one is actually killing this one, because they extrude some tannins, or I think it was tannins, I'm not really sure, but acids and stuff that it becomes tough for a lot of species to get close to these. Not that it's going to be deterring me in any way. The reason I want several of these is because while everyone else here is going to be helping me out a lot against strong winds, house is on the top of the hill and it's very exposed. Uh, the other ones, when they lose their leaves, it's mostly just the stems and maybe the bigger branches that really break up the wind that much. But the pines, of course, they don't lose it, so they do the best during the winter. And yeah, long video, probably just a little bit of a rant, but maybe interesting. This branch here, I think it started here, like it was short. I think you might even see it a little bit on the leaves. It goes in stages, because like it may seem like it's just from here, because these are a bit brighter, and it's not just because of the sun, but they darken way much quicker. This is why the spruce is like a cool example, because by the time it darkens, it's really not caring to grow so much. Maybe I should have said something about these potatoes and peas and whatever, but I think I'm just gonna cut now, and then I'll make a short video on what really you're seeing here.